Hello guys. I'm just parting off right now and I'm going to start my cut in just a second. So on long hair I like to part right above the ear and bring the back straight down and forward. And I do the same thing on the other side. I'm using my new 7.5 inch Balton shears, and I really love this for like really thick, coarse textures. Let's go ahead and stand around the back of the chair. So for this part of the cut, I stand up so I can see eye level with the hair. A lot of times when people are sitting in the chair, they're sitting like lopsided or they're crossing their legs or something, so it makes it easier to see what's happening. And I'm bringing everything straight down. Remember, tip her head forward. And I like to actually do it in kind of like 3 sections. So I'll bring the middle straight down. And I'm taking about 1 inch off. So I'm actually going to hold this really taut, and then I'm going to cut right above my hand in just one swoop. And you're cutting at the base of the shear, so the shears are held all the way inside the hand like this instead of outside like this. So it's inside the hand. So it's almost like cutting fabric, like a seamstress. And then once I'm done with that, I'll bring everything straight into the middle. I'll draw it straight down, and I'll just see if there's anything that I need to clean up. I always part the hair directly down the center, and I'll bring it forward before I turn her body. So we face each other, and then I have her turn her head to one side so the shoulders out of the way, and I can bring this as close to the body as possible. That's another reason why I like standing, because the chair's not in the way and I can be as close to her body as possible. So I'm taking this whole back section forward, and you kind of see based on where my fingers are right here, this kind of cleans up the trash from underneath. And then I'm bringing everything forward. So I'm continuing my 1 inch line. Just straight down. I'm going to work on her face framing. I'm going to start her face framing right around her chin. So I'm just pointing my shears down, and I just like to take it in nice one swoop until I run out of hair, and then I'll just continue my line all the way down, just to make it nice and seamless. And typically I'll hold my hand directly underneath it, and my shear is literally on top of my hand as I'm slowly closing the blade down. Sometimes what I see happen is that people are bringing all this hair forward and then they're doing it, and then all of a sudden it's a mullet. So that's a no-no. So if you just make sure that your shears are always pointed down at the ground and not at an angle toward her shoulder, then that will offset that. And the other thing is making sure you're holding the hair straight down and not over-directing it this way. Those are like the 2 main things to kind of keep an eye out for. So once again, I'm holding the hair with my hand horizontal. My shears are going vertical, and I'm keeping the point of the shear on top of my hand, and I'm just slowly closing my blade. I see other people doing it this way, where they're holding sideways and they're doing the bunt of the blade, and they're pulling, dragging down this way, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It gives it more of a razored effect though. And just be careful with it, because it can kind of shred the hair if you're tugging on it, or if your shears are not like freshly sharpened, for instance. I'm over directing the pieces that are around her chin forward, and then I'm bringing everything into the center, so at a nice angle. So I'm bringing everything forward this way at an angle, so it's above her opposite eye. I'm doing more over direction because I want to see a little bit more like sweep happening when she pushes her hair back. This helps with more of a sweep. And as I get to the bottom, you can see that there's not as much hair to cut through there. And I'll do the same thing for the other side. I'm going to bring everything over, directing it over her opposite eye. And I'm almost feeding the hair into my hand, so I'm not moving my elbow at all. Notice that my elbow is staying tucked into my body. One of the main things with haircuts in general, not just French cutting, but haircuts in general, body positioning makes a really big difference in where that hair lays. And I'm going to just open this back up again, and I'm just going to take a look. The other thing I noticed is that when people check the hair, they always check the front. Instead, if you check through the back here to make sure that these line up, because this is her length, and then the front pieces, if you're just drawing that forward and making sure that it feels balanced, because if you're doing it this way, you might be grabbing a different part that fits back here, and this part's from up here. Okay. So now I'm going to go into her layers. Now that I already cut this piece, this is my guide for the rest of her length, so I'm bringing everything straight back. She parts in the middle, so by bringing everything straight back and making her first section right above her part line, this is called number 1. And you can actually stand, since my guide is starting on that side, usually you stand on this side, but I'm standing on the opposite side because her guide is in the front, and that's where I'm starting her guide. So this is what's called long to short. Now that I have that guide made up, I can go ahead and continue on. So this part is from 3/4 eyebrow to, and I'm just going to follow my guide now. So long to short. And this is my last section in number 1, and then I'm going to jump into number 2. Number 2 is in the transitional part of the head. It's the most important part of the cut because that's what determines what the length of the rest of the hair is going to be. Number 2 is where there's an open space at the top of your, so when you put a comb at the top, it's an open space that starts here and the flat of the comb here. So it's only right in this space here. It's on the roundest part of the head. So number 2, I'm actually drawing it straight out and I'm going exterior, so my fingers are pointed out and away from the face. You see okay, Emily?
I'm trying to find the best angle for this part.
Actually, if you just, let's do this. I can turn her chair.
Yes.
Is that good?
Yes.
Okay. Notice how my body positioning, I'm actually rocking my body with the position, so you step out of it. So my body's squared off, and then I step out of the position and away. So I can keep my elbow up high, and my fingers are exterior, they're pushing out toward the head. Next I'm going into 3. 3 are the sides of the head, and it goes all the way until you reach the occipital when it goes inside, when it like dips down. So through the sides of the head, I'm just continuing my exterior line on. Exterior just makes a really nice, soft, and it's also kind of creates like nice smooth transitions with your layers. What I like about vertically, you're not cutting horizontally. So, and it has a roadmap that's very simple to follow once you kind of get the movement down. And ergonomically, it's much easier on us hairstylists because I don't have to worry about carpal tunnel or anything like that. Very minimal motions, very intentional. I'm using larger shears and cutting inside my hands. And instead of contorting my hand this way and cutting in, I'm pushing out, cutting on the outside. So I'm going to continue my exterior line through the back. College cutting night might not be the night.
I've been at the hospital last week.
just have one more angle I'm going to take after this, and then we'll be done. I'm going to dip down a little bit lower, and I'm just going to go ahead and check this and make sure that her layers don't just stop. So I'm going to go mesh with these layers here. Mesh just makes it a really soft transition through the bottom, so that way it doesn't feel layered and then it feels like a shelf of hair. Well, Erin started working out with the trainer, so he's been working this straight back. Okay, so we're almost done. This part is just the very bottom part of the hair, right below the occipital bone. He's doing really good. Libby's good. She was over last night. And after this, I'm going to cross-check her hair. So with cross-checking long hair, I just draw everything straight back. So I grab everything, 3/4 eyebrow to 3/4 eyebrow, bring it straight back, and I pull up this way. You kind of see where this comes in at an angle, so I'm just going to square that part off through there. And then I'm going to grab the side of it, bring everything straight back, and continue that line through. So what that does is it blends the sides into the back of the hair. So that's it, and then I'm going to blow dry. I will show you like a quick after on Facebook or on Instagram Live. I'll just do like an Instagram story for you guys, and I'll just show you what it looks like when we're done. Okay, thanks guys, bye.